Hello there, good morning, and welcome back to Celtic World Order podcast. As always, I'm Steve O'Mar, and it's just a wee pop up just before the match, just to say, let's get down to business because, as it says there in the tagline, make them pay. Celtic have a brilliant opportunity today, a fantastic opportunity to get some good daylight between ourselves and our rivals at such a ridiculously early stage, but it's also a double-edged thing because, of course, make them pay. Aberdeen were the team that denied us the treble at Hampden. So there's got to be a wee bit of not just focus on getting ahead in the league and laying down an early marker, but there's also that wee matter of revenge, if you will, because they will still be stinging, they'll still be sore in the memory after losing to them at Hampden and dropping the opportunity for another historic treble. It's good to see the Holy Goalie straight in there, as he says. No ifs and buts. Let's get straight down to business. 3 points here are absolutely essential for Celtic. Do not let anybody tell you otherwise. As I said when I posted on social media earlier, it's a bit of a surprise. Let's not kid ourselves on here. I know there's people that have always got the blind faith of they're not that good, and I get all that stuff, but would you have thought that they would have dropped points in their opening two games, particularly against Dundee? Absolute cannon fodder yesterday at Ibrox? The answer's probably not. So Celtic have this fantastic opportunity to get a good wee bit of daylight behind us at such an early stage, lay down a marker, and then if things go according to plan, you could be playing them at Ibrox, and a victory could put you potentially about 10 points clear because obviously they are delaying another match as well. That's the thing. We need to get down to business. We need to make things happen, and we're just going to quickly talk about it. I've got it on there now. It's in the background. We've got off. Deary me, man. It's always Chris Boyd, isn't it, there? And Johnny Kenny and Petrov. A wee bit of balance there, but you can see he's fuming, and I want him maybe further fuming with a comfortable Celtic victory today. But let's crack on. Before we do, as always, just welcome back to the channel, as we always say. If you're a return subscriber, thank you very much. Support's amazing. We're nearly at 2,000. Hit the subscribe button. Costs you nothing. Absolutely free. All the content's free. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. Share it. Tell your pals. All that stuff. We're on socials elsewhere. CWPod 1888. Instagram, Spotify, TikTok, plenty of places to connect with Celtic World Order, and hopefully you do it. If you've any thoughts on it, get them up nice and early, and we'll try and get some in there before the kick-off. Let's get straight into business. We'll go around to the business end of things here. The lineup has been announced, and I think it's fair to say, is there really any surprises there? It's Michael Johnson, Carter, Vickers, Scales, Tierney, McGregor, Hattati, and Nygren. We keep it as it was. Personally, I thought Nygren done enough last week when he got about the pitch. I wasn't bowled over. I thought that he looked a far better player in pre-season. But first domestic competitive match at home, what expectation. I can give a wee bit of allowances there. Self-explanatory, isn't Forrest, Ida, Maeda. Yang, yes, Yang was poor last week. Let's not kid ourselves on. And then Forrest came on and ultimately transformed the game. He gave us so much of a lift. He gave us so much in the way of purpose, energy, attacking threat that Yang just simply didn't offer. Maeda had a decent first half as well, but the big question still remains is Adam Ida, isn't it? We're kind of shoehorning him in there because the opportunities, the amount of players that we've got for that striking position. We've got Shin Yamada on the bench. That's good to see. But we've got to be looking at it and saying, yes, let's get somebody in quicker, sooner rather than later. We're signed an extension for Johnny Kenny. Again, did you have that on your bingo card? I certainly didn't. I like Johnny Kenny. I want to see him do well. But again, it's not quite the quality and the standard we've got. I say this is a big, massive match, not only for Celtic, but particularly for Adam Ida here. He's been given the nod. He's been, his face been put on him by the manager. He's going through the middle again. And as I say, he's previous on one of our videos, I think slightly to the detriment of Dyson Maeda, because we saw in that game against St Mirren, the wee flashes, the opportunities that Dyson Maeda had. He hasn't been taking them. He's not looked as deadly as he did at the tail end of last season, where he really kicked on and showed that golden boot winning form that he had in the J-League. And that's my slight concern there. I think at this moment in time, Celtic's best striker at the club is Dyson Maeda. However, we find ourselves short on the wings. So what do? We revert back to type and we move him in And yes, it's diminishing returns from an attacking goal scoring threat standpoint. We saw that a wee bit through the pre-season, but Diaz Maeda is maybe, I wouldn't say forgot how to be a winger, that's silly, but he just doesn't have that same level of potency when he's through on goal. Why? Because he's not getting those chances as regular as he was when he was going through the middle, and with that will come, rustiness, and that is the problem I've got with the Adam Ida situation at this moment in time. It's, putting a square peg into a round hole, for me at least, but he gets given the nod. And some of those opportunities that he had last week against St Mirren, he needs to be hitting the target more often than not, working the goalkeeper, and hopefully adding a goal there. There's one from another chat there that says, he's going to go and score one or two against the Aberdeen. I was in the boys in the bus chat, and I says I do forgive myself here. I can't remember the name, but if you are watching and you says he'll score a couple of goals a day, and if he does, I said, contact us and we'll give you a free print for a signed player that we've got, one of the many. So you hold me to that. And it's good to see some of you in. Smell the Glove is in early on the YouTube. Yep, I won today. Just get 4 points ahead of those that bended the knee. Well, that is it. We've got to take advantage. It's such an early stage. And these things, it's all about momentum, isn't it? It's all about psychological state. And we'll look at the state of Rangers psychologically. They can get themselves up for those games in Europe, but the bread and butter, they can't do it. They're getting booed off at Ibrox. They've got a manager saying that he's happy they didn't get beat. Look, I've said before, and I've went down on record, and I will say it again, they can only get better, but this is the thing. This is the thing, and was posted on social media today. This is the opportunity for Celtic to kick them whilst they're down and then take another kick for good measure. This is the exact opportunity. We should be looking at this and say, yeah, it's a fantastic opportunity to grab a lead, get a stride on them, particularly when we look at the derby at the end of the month. But don't take it for granted, because they can only get better. Will they get better remains to be seen, but you've got to look at it with that mindset that they will get better. This won't always happen. And we saw that last season. All right, we ran away with the league, but there was a few opportunities where they would drop points and we didn't take full advantage and vice versa. From the off at this early stage, Celtic need to go in, put the foot down and kick on. And also, this should be another way of looking at it. Not just in terms of on the field what we have right now, taking those opportunities. They should also be looking at it and saying they look like they're in a, I wouldn't say turmoil, but they're in a wee bit of settlement. They're adapting, they're changing things. These results, look at what happened with us with Ange. Those first 5, 6, 7 games weren't great. There was a real bedding in period. There was a real question marks, mixed results. They are very much in that stage domestically. So we need to kick on, take absolutely every single opportunity we have. But as I said, also look at it and say, well, this is exactly the time for Celtic to go and improve the squad, get the players in, strengthen the squad right now. Not a wait and see if we get through that qualifier. We could be going over to Kazakhstan, no ideal for travelling, but that's a byproduct to where we are. We've just got to look at it, put the foot down, kick on, get the players in, take full advantage, both in the position that we find ourselves to qualify for Europe, but also domestically. Whilst we have a slightly shaky, slightly weakened Rangers at this moment in time, that is exactly what we need to do. So there's a few people here that are in. Let's see what we've got here. I say that McLaughlin, yes, an opportunity. Get into that international break. They're going to be postponing their game for the European. Celtic are going to be kicking on. We can get the points on the board. And then you could go and play them, potentially defeat them, and be sitting 10 points with the points in the bag ahead of them. These are huge, huge, huge opportunities for Celtic. Such an early stage of the season. And we need to go and do our job first and foremost today. Eyes on the prize, no messing about, go for the throat, settle the game early, get the nerves settled, get the points in the bag, go home and move on to the next one. All the stuff off the field, we will cover it at some point, no doubt. All the requirements to get signings, what the manager's saying, things like that. It's a side show right now. Today is just simply about this 90 minutes in isolation, getting the points, getting the job done. And that's another point as well, where flexibility. Could we try Yamada? Potentially we could. He's got the speed. I like the way he carried the ball. I like the way that he had a lot of purpose and attack. And that's the sort of thing, is just get through them and do what we need to do, it may well be an option. As I say, I think that we are slightly limited when you look at the squad at the moment, when you look at the bench that we've got, the options there are still a wee bit sort of limited for my money. I'm still not sitting there and go, wow, look at what we've got there. Yang, obvious. McCown, I think he was maybe a wee bit unfortunate to miss out, if I'm being honest with you. I know we've went back to Nygren, we've shown some faith in him. As I said, it's by the by. I didn't think that he was fantastic last week against St Mirren. I felt that McCown offered far much more than, Hatate, McGregor and Nygren put together, to be honest with you, when he came on. So I think he should probably feel a wee bit hard done by that he's not featuring. Really, he would have been maybe the one change that I probably would have done, would have been him, and potentially I would have, as I hoped for last week, put in Shin Yamada over Ida. The manager's never going to do that. Let's get real here. But that's the thing. When we look at those options, when we look at what we've got on the bench, yeah, it's trying to move around the pieces. Shin Yamada, can he play there? Who knows? I'd like to see him play today. That's one thing I would say. I think when we look at this, the fact that we brought on Johnny Kenny last week, and we also have the new signing of him, the manager saying that at this moment in time, he's very much in the fold at Celtic. He may well feature. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a subs to be made that he is going to have to be, he'll be the one that will come on, maybe at the expense of Shin Yamada. There's theories around about this whole thing of he's not playing Yamada, he's keeping his powder dry just in case that he hit the ground running and scored, on appearances every time he got some game time. And then it's look, you've got a striker, you don't need another one. As much as I hate to think that would be the case, I still wouldn't put it past Rodgers, to be honest with you. I really, really wouldn't. But that's the thing. And then we look at what we've got as well on the bench. Trusty, when Tierney came off, we brought in Trusty, we moved Scales over to left back. Again, I'm not mad on that. I don't like this. It's just trying to move the pieces about a wee bit there and see what we've got. But yeah, there's various things that are happening here. And Inamura, there's another thing. Not having Inamura on the bench to manage Tierney, it's baffling. I wouldn't say it's a sackable offence, but it is baffling. We wrongly thought that he was on the bench last week. Just goes to show you there. But the thing is looking at it, yes, he's shown enough in pre-season. Again, is that sending a message? I need a proper left back. Well, potentially. But at the same time, I would rather have him on the bench as an option. If you're just going to dig your heels in and not bring him on, then that's fine. But at least give yourself the option here. We're looking at Aberdeen. I watched them against Hearts. I wasn't bowled over. I actually think that their manager might be one of these guys who's getting away with it because he had a fantastic buy-in early on last season. They quickly petered away. They managed to get it over the line in the cup final, as we all well know, but I looked at that and I didn't think they looked any better. So I don't think that we're going to get bowled away by Aberdeen. What I will say, and this is interesting because I know it's a side sort of tangent I'm going off on here. So it says there, make them pay. I mentioned this before. Revenge has got to be somewhat on the menu for Celtic, just reminding them that what happened in the cup final, you were lucky to get that. That wasn't us on our day. Here we are, it's early in the season, we're fresh, and I want to go out and beat them. I'll take a scrappy 1-0, OG. I really don't care, but I would like a strong, dominant performance. Total football for Celtic. There's Steve saying it. Aberdeen were absolutely garbage against Hearts. They should have been properly humped more than they were. If Celtic can't go out with the attacking threat that we do have available to us and put a couple of goals past them, then yeah, absolutely, it's a bad day. But as I said, I'll take anything. I'll take a 1-0. I just want the points. Today is about the points, first and foremost. But on a side thing, it'll be interesting to see what Aberdeen do because I think they'll maybe want to try and play a wee bit of mental chess. And I know it's petty, isn't it? But first game back at Aberdeen for the league, I wouldn't be surprised if they done some sort of trophy thing like we do with the league trophy, bringing it out and putting on the plinth, the Scottish Cup. And that in itself, I can see maybe why they would do it back at home. Let's celebrate it. Stand up for the Scottish Cup champions, as they would call it if it was the blue side of town. But yeah, I think that Celtic, if that does happen, that should just be another wee sort of nudging the ribs to be like, right, okay, right, let's get them put in their place. They're getting above their station here. But looking at it today, the lineup is all set up to do the job. Aberdeen have set up pretty much as you would expect. You know what you're going to get from Aberdeen. I think there will be flashes of attacking flair with the likes of Toppy Keskinen and things like that, but it'll start to sort of just peter off and it'll become samey. What's important for us is not to get in the situation that we found ourselves last season. The last season, but we had that obviously very stuffy, tight away game that we managed to just skate through. Again, getting the result was all that matters there, but it's very, very important for us to get ourselves out there on the front foot nice and early and put down a marker. But we also need to be properly clinical. When the chances present, we need to take them. And yes, I'm looking at you, Adam Ida. So here's McLaughlin. Has he got a wee bell on here? Ida, first goal, 3-1 in Devlin, 157 early on. Bet responsibly, but I tell you what, it's not the worst of bets actually, because the boy Devlin does enjoy a card. Steve-O's not got the confidence, not sure why, but not having a good feeling about this. Why? Care to elaborate there, brother? Tell us, why are you feeling a wee bit sort of tense, unsure about it? I think what I would say is we got our fill, didn't we, yesterday? He laughing at Rangers' stinking result, their terrible result, booing off the pitch and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I get that, because I think a lot of people were getting ahead of ourselves late last night. It is the way it is. You get sort of exhilarated, you bathe in it. This is amazing. Yes, come OD'd on social media laughing content. But yeah, you've got to take care of business. There's no point in sitting laughing and then not making the actions count after the event. Christie, big Ida to bag a brace, dies into Negan to put the cherry on top. Bold, I like it. He's going for a Paddy-esque scoreline there. He's going for a 4-0. What? I don't know. Chris, I love it. I love your confidence there. Do I see Adam Ida having 2 goals to him today? No, I don't. I can't change it. I'm trying my best here to be positive, but I cannot. I cannot see that faith that you have that Big Ida's going to score 2 goals. He had a lot of chances yesterday, a lot of decent deliveries into the box, and as people says, corners. Is that a 10 corners question mark for a build away? I don't know, but last week it was 12 corners, and we've got Ryan in the house. Love to see it. I'm not looking hard enough. God, come on, Christie. Come on. I don't see it. I just don't see it with Adamida. But 12 corners last week. One thing's for sure. We need to start making these opportunities count. Aberdeen are a decent side. They look garbage against Hearts. Hearts have done a lot of work under Tony Bloom and everybody's favourite wannabe Rangers manager, but they've brought in a decent level of quality players. They've played well. They've had decent pre-season. They've done decent in the early stages, cups on and so forth. They look like a decent side. So I could imagine that they would have kicked on. They've levelled up. Aberdeen, I don't think, have levelled up. So I can maybe give them a wee bit of sort of allowances there. But then you'll flip that and say, well, if they struggle against Hearts, how are they going to handle Celtic? I totally get that. But yes, I just think there'll be a stuffy game today. I'm confident we'll get a win, but I don't think it'll be comprehensive. Not because I don't have the faith or anything like that. I just think that Aberdeen, being at home with a bad result last week, their early stages, like we've just said about Rangers dropping points and us taking advantage, they're also aware that they don't want to lose points so early, because it's easy for teams like Aberdeen and the rest of the pack to get into a rut. One defeat turns into 2, turns into 3, and before you know it, you're sort of swimming around about the bottom half of the table, and it takes several weeks to start building up the wins and climb back up the table. So they'll be looking at it and they'll be trying to make sure that they don't fall foul to 2 defeats in a row. That's pretty much where I'm at with that there. Aberdeen player had exactly. And this is the thing. This is what I'm just saying there is Hearts played more games, but Hearts also invested a lot in their team. They'll be looking for a decent result here. What do you think of the lineup? Are you happy with that? Do you think there's enough in the tank there? I would really, really like to see us bring on Shin Yamada. That's one thing that I do want to see. I want him to give a chance. He should be given a chance to get out there and show something he's got. I get the whole Johnny Kenny thing. Yang, could he be better as a guy that we bring on as an impact? I'm still not sold on it. I'm very much not in the Yang gang. I'm not ashamed to say that. I think when we look at that bench, your safe bets are clearly going to be McCowan and Engels, more than likely featuring at some point, potentially Trusty, if we are still nursing Kieran Tierney. Obviously, we said last week when we brought him off, he went down, there was a wee bit of concerns there. It was precautionary, it was all about sort of just cramp and making sure we managed them. I wouldn't be surprised if you see that as well. But one thing that I would say around about that is we need to make sure that whilst we have this strongest side on there, whilst we have guys like Tierney on the pitch, and you saw the quality increase in the first half last week, it's important for us to take full advantage. Whilst we've got the best guys on the pitch, that's when we need to take advantage. We need to take advantage of the full strength, the attributes that a Tierney will give you. Great delivery in the box, good pace to get in behind the man. I think him and Dice Maid are still kind of working out the best sort of formula between the two of them. It doesn't look quite as smooth as what we've seen, whether you like him or not, between Taylor and Maeda. But again, that's by the by. Some more coming in. Ryan, what are you hoping for here? He's looking for a statement today. Next year, results go our way, we could be flying. Couple of signings away from being a quality side. Very much so. And again, Gav Boy, it's not a new Celtic except for Benji Negrin. Every one of them knows what's required, and there's no surprises what they're getting into. 100%. We know what we're getting here from Aberdeen. We've played them multiple times. They've not changed very much at all. And that's the thing. It's up to us to find a way to get the result here today. I'll take it any way it comes. But yes, I would very much like what Ryan's saying. I'd like a wee cherry on top, a decent performance, something to really give you positivity about. So let's talk a wee bit about the pre-match stuff. We saw the manager, and he had these chats about the squad. He was asked very blatantly, is there guys coming in? And I don't know about you, but more hopefully, wasn't it? I'm still not sold on it. Let's not go into negativity, but we have to talk about what's sitting in front office. The manager's comments didn't sound like Celtic are even remotely close to signing anybody. There's no updates for you. There's nothing imminent. We're inside a week for the registration for that Champions League game. He confirmed that we won't take the sort of mulligan and defer the game of the league against Livy. We will continually play that. Right or wrong, hopefully that's not one of those ones that come back and bite you. But I agree. I said this previously on a show that early in the season, there's no reason why you should be postponing it. The matches at home, so on and so forth. Yeah, I get it. But I hope it doesn't bite us in the backside. In terms of getting the players in, the thing that I was concerned about was his attitude towards it. He's very much becoming, it sounded like a bit of an apologist. Got to say that honestly, a bit of a bored apologist. It was, I don't take anything to do with that. There's work going on behind the scenes, remember. They're working so hard to get these players in. But yeah, I've no update on you. I'm hopeful that by the end of the window, we'll have one or two targets in, a few additions to the squad. I'm hopeful. He was then asked about the quality that he's got at the moment, and he says, it doesn't make any difference to me. This is what I've got. I'm just paraphrasing here, of course. This is what I've got, and it's up to me to deal with what I've got here at the moment. It's not for me to say what I've got is good enough or not good enough. A very strange language there for the manager. I'm just starting to grow a wee bit impatient, and a lot of people are. I don't have great faith. And the bit about the board have proven year after year, season after season, that the work gets done. Well, it doesn't, doesn't it? We know that last season we went and spent over £30 million. We know that we spent 11 on Engels and 9 on Ida, but we now also know that those guys should have, at the start of that transfer window, were going to be pretty much for both of them, the bones about anywhere between 12 to 15 million. But as we've learned as well, this whole, if it goes over a certain price, you need to sign off with the monopoly man, Mr. Dermot Desmond, so on and so forth. And it didn't get happened. Celtic basically spewed up at the asking price. And then when the time dragged on, when we got to the end of the transfer window, we ended up paying over the odds because we're like, I see that guy, you wanted that, we'll chuck a couple of million on. So that, as I said on a social media post that we put out, that behaviour is not to be applauded whatsoever. Anyone that's sitting there and saying, yeah, he's right, the board get the job done, if you are clapping that, if you are supporting that, if you are happy with that attitude and that sort of application to how we go about our business, then I hate to say it, but you're part of the problem. And Brendan Rodgers at this moment in time for me is every single bit. Love it. a subscriber from Barcelona. Love it. Welcome to Celtic World Order's community. Love it. Thank you very much. That's it. Everywhere. Celtic connects people from all over the world. Love it. Catalan094 is in there. Pass on your best to him. And he also says he does dog shit. Mate, there's something that we do agree on. Not saying that I disagree with you being a new subscriber. I very much agree with that. But I am no big fan of Ida at this moment in time. So, yes, even I'm not alone. Even Catalan94 isn't a big lover of Ida. And it'll be funny when we see how this game pans out, because when we talk about it after the event, you've all seen Paddy's strange level of optimism around about Adam Ida, and I like that. That's what it is. We're not here to all agree, because that would be completely crap, wouldn't it? But Paddy is somehow on the Adam Ida train. He thinks he's going to kick on here. Let's see what we've got as well. McLaughlin is hoping for more class from Hatate after his last time up. But yes, as we say, stuffy game. He was the game changer in that match. I think it's important for our midfielder to really get it going. I think that the midfield against St Mirren, McGregor always kind of looks comfortable, as we all know. He does his thing. Hatate was plenty of looking for the ball. I quite liked what I saw from the first half, directing traffic, loads of pointing, moving the pieces about, taking the ball, trying to find those killer passes. Benji Negrin was going about his business kind of quietly, but I felt that he kind of just blended into the background and faded. It's really, really important for us, particularly with someone like Negrin, to try and get back to what we saw in that pre-season, where he was picking the ball up, being purposeful, carrying it, and showing far more of an attacking threat. That's a lot's going to hinge on the midfield battle today. Aberdeen will bank in, they'll try to swarm the midfield, and then when they're out of possession, drop back and just make it harder. We've seen that. It's the same as we get against Aberdeen before. It's the same as we got against St Mirren. You know, the way they set up, there's these two defensive banks, when they're out of possession, try to make it stuffy, and then they'll hope to try and hit us on the break. They've got guys like Keskinen, he's got a bit of flair, bit of skill, trying to get down the wing, get in behind, and they do still, regardless of how they played against Hearts last week, they still do have decent enough quality that we need to be on our toes and we need to be agile. I felt last week the defensive pairing of Scales and Carter Vickers was very, very good. Scales in the hat potentially for a man of the match in that game. Can he kick on from it? Well, hopefully he does. But the important thing here is just to keep repeating myself, getting the business done. Ryan's want to talk here about transfers. He says the rate of transfers that a team take longer to gel, and the qualifiers harder to navigate. They should be scouting all season and striking in the first days of the window. Mate, I can't agree with that enough. And that's the thing. I don't know if you saw it. There was some information put out, and I think Celtic are like 197th in transfer movement in European football for this transfer window. That just shows you how behind we are. We keep getting told that it's difficult to navigate these sort of early phases or middle phases of the transfer window, and often the best players become available at the end. Well, I'm sorry, but 196 other clubs, they must have all been scrambling about. And listen, I know that there'll be different levels, there'll be different league levels, shopping different markets, paying different money and all that kind of thing. But again, it comes back to what I said about Rangers. Now, I know you don't like me bringing it up, but yes, we're all laughing at the way they've performed in their opening two league games. Europe has always been a different entity for them for some reason, don't know why. But the point is, irrespective of whether all those guys turn out to be absolutely garbage, and I'll name one of them, for example, Gassama. Gassama, they're all singing praises about him. Yeah, he was anonymous against Aberdeen. He was garbage yesterday as well. But he's also scored 4 goals in as many games and pretty much dragged them through their last qualifying round and made a difference in that last game there. So the point still stands, irrespective of whether other teams are buying in players and they turn out to be superstars or absolute plankton. The benchmark, because that get levied at me, they should never be the benchmark. Our team should never be the benchmark. No, the benchmark should be how you conduct your business. The benchmark should be, as Ryan says, getting job done early. I don't buy into the fact that you won't get a quality player early. That it just doesn't happen. It's complete and utter nonsense. It's all about approaching, putting together the right package, paying the right money to begin with, and that should take care of itself. Now, what I would hope the Celtic are doing behind the scenes and all this work is let's just say they are waiting for big leagues to declare their league's sort of 30-man squad or whatever it is. And the guys in the periphery are the guys that are going to mop up, right? let's just say you're wanting to buy a guy for, I don't know, Newcastle, Chelsea, whatever, and he's on the periphery of the main squad. I would hope that Celtic are going to them nice and early, making them an offer, a serious offer. Here's what we're wanting to put together. This is the package. This is what we can offer as a club. European football, you can win trophies, blah, 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 blah. This is what we want to do with you. And see if that guy goes, no, I want to see if I can still stay in whatever team that I'm at the now, burst into the squad and make a point. If they can do that, that's fine. But see then when you come back at the end of the transfer window, if that guy hasn't made his squad and he is why he's on the peripheries, and when every other team around Europe are maybe interested in him, you've got 4 or 5 teams that are interested in him, you can then go back to them and make the offer again. But at the back of their mind, they're like, you know what, Celtic approached me early and they laid their cards out on the table. That's where I want to go. Rather than just scrambling about, I'd like to think that that's potentially how Celtic would do their business, but I don't. We've got Gav Boy on YouTube here saying Brendan can't get sidetracked. If it's out of his hands, got to concentrate on what he's got. He did say that repeatedly. He did repeatedly say it's for me to concentrate on the guys that I've got here, make them the best and get them ready to go. Got to concentrate on what he's got. We all know where the blame should be directed at. Yes, the board 100% to go and win games, but signings are needed. Yeah, you know, we need to get the signings in the door and it should be levied at the board. Contrary to some narrative that gets spun out there, there's lots of good social media and fan media channels, pages who are asking the big hard questions. Go and check them out. There's loads of good places, by the way. Celtic World Order is one of them. Unapologetic, unfiltered, uncensored. We are unaffiliated. There's no would-be journalists on here. We've no skin in the game. We are just passionate fans and we'll continue to talk about it. We're actually going to be covering a board-specific special. Hit subscribe, check out for that. See the game starting to come on now. And as expected, yes, there's a big tifo with a big Scottish Cup on it. As I says, Aberdeen want to put in a wee dig, a wee reminder. And hopefully that in itself, when the guys go out there and they see that, that's enough to just light an extra wee bit of fire in their belly and on their assholes to get this job done. Ryan saying, come on, Celtic. Absolutely. We've just been off on a wee bit of a slight tangent. We've been round the navigating the waters, but that's just the way it goes with these wee pre-show pop-ups. Just a wee chat to see how we're feeling. Quickly before we go, any score predictions? I am going to say stuffy, but 2-0 to Celtic. And no, I'm not taking Adamir that he score. I hope he does. I really, really do hope he does. I might even look at putting on a wee bet responsibly, because I don't think the price will be amazing on him to score. And that's exactly why you want to be taking it. But take care of yourselves. We'll be back at some stage later on today to cover the result here. Win, lose or draw. Hopefully it's a win. Huge opportunity for Celtic to extend a lead at such an early point, lay down a marker, knock one into Aberdeen, get a wee bit of revenge for that cup final, and of course, further sicken our rivals. Enjoy the game. The teams are walking out on the pitch. Take care of yourselves, and until the next time, hail, hail. See you later.